Well, the ever-changing, explosive situation around us in the region, Palestine, Lebanon, has, of course, affected us. But there are negative effects, there are positive aspects, and there are even opportunities. If we take the Grand Egyptian Museum as an example, the Grand Egyptian Museum has been a project that has been awaited with anticipation by the world for a long time now. And certain points and certain dates had been considered for the opening of this museum, but again, for changes in the geopolitical environment were not realized. And now this opening that's happening for 12 galleries of the Grand Egyptian Museum, to make them accessible to international and national visitors, comes at a difficult moment because, of course, we need to consider the humanitarian tragedy happening in Palestine and Lebanon, which prevent us from having a huge celebration to inaugurate these galleries. On the other hand, these galleries now are ready, and they need to be made accessible in order for the world to keep its credibility towards us, that we are credible in this big project. Will it affect the flow of tourists? It will, because here comes now the positive aspect. If we consider the negative aspect that we didn't have a big opening for these galleries, let's consider the positive aspect that we witness right now. Although the situation around us from all sides is quite explosive, that the tourists from around the world, and I'm not talking about even the companies, I'm talking about the individuals themselves, consider Egypt as a safe destination. And the numbers of tourists coming to Egypt are even rising this year, higher than the number that you have mentioned for 2023, which is a positive note. And opening these galleries now will help to show that we ourselves in Egypt are considering the situation to be safe and inviting, and we're working on the increase of tourism. And once this opening starts to have its echo around the world, it will affect for the next season the tourism flow to Egypt. Maybe the problem was that and this is a general problem we have in Egypt actually, we tend to announce big events too late. We must put into consideration that in general, when we have a big event, we have to announce it a year or at least 6 months in advance in order to have the maximum revenue out of it. Now we would actually have to wait a little until we have the positive revenue. There will be an increase in numbers. There will be an increase in revenue. It is a chance for the Grand Egyptian Museum to start monitoring how the flow inside the museum should be, how the pricing has to be adjusted. All of these are very positive aspects. Concerning opportunities, to come to the last point, there are a lot of cities around the world, especially in Europe, where there started to be a kind of public revolt against mass tourism. And this will have some of the tourists in the future go towards our region. There are new competitors on the market, Saudi Arabia making a lot of effort, providing something that Mr. Elhami pointed at, high service. This is something that we in Egypt will have to work on, but this will help, if we do it the right way, for us to take a share of the tourism that will be driven away from Europe because of many reasons: hostility from the local population, raising in prices. This is a big opportunity for us. Museums, big projects like the Grand Egyptian Museum, having the Sphinx Airport only 40 minutes away, with a good management of charter flights, could be a huge opportunity. The tourists have certain, in Germany they called it Schmerzgrenzen, which means a point where they don't want to go beyond when it gets to tickets. So for a moment, the ticket, for instance, for the Grand Egyptian Museum was announced for a few hours for 1,700 pounds for a foreigner, which would be more than $30. A few hours later, it was revised to 1,200 Egyptian pounds.
No, it is a media aspect. This has to do with a guided tour versus non-guided tour. So
Yes,
let me clarify.
but it was first perceived as if the price would be over $30. So over $30 for many is too much. And the Louvre, for instance, had an experience a few years ago. They were at about 17 euros. Then they thought they had reached 9 million visitors a year. So they said, okay, we go up to 23. And within 1 year, the number dropped again, 1 million visitors. So they returned again to 17 euros and providing side offers. What Haytham was talking about, providing more service to get more money out of the visitor. The point is, the Grand Egyptian Museum is so big that it will affect the tourism programs of Egypt. For starters, it will, for instance, take away some of the visitors of the museum at the Tahrir Square, because you will have a new touristic day, which is the pyramids and the Grand Egyptian Museum. This will change the traditional programs, which was the pyramids and the citadel, for instance, or the pyramids and Saqqara. So there is a change happening. Does it add? Yes, it will eventually add, because we will have to work on our programs that we provide. So I can provide for you a program about ancient Egypt. I can provide a program about the whole of Egypt. There must be a diversity in the products that we provide. For a long time, we have hold on, or the companies and everything have held on to the classic program. This has to change. This has to change, because we just have too much to offer nowadays. The other point is that I agree totally with Haytham and with Ilhami that our current view that we need to have only high-end accommodation and luxury, this is not anymore conform to the time that we're in, because we used to be a more than affordable destination. But we have done some changes, especially in the pricing of our hotels, that has made us not so affordable anymore. So in order to compensate this, We need now to have also 4 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars hotels, especially as, and this also has to do with the Grand Egyptian Museum and the NEMEC. In both of these huge projects, we have conference halls. So you are ready to have conferences. Not all the people attending conferences, especially if they are scientific, have the financial means to stay at a 5-star hotel for a week. So we have to provide the other options. The Grand Egyptian Museum, the surroundings of the Grand Egyptian Museums, now one of the big companies, without saying the name, has announced that it will build there around 5,000 new rooms. 5,000 new rooms is nothing. Actually, all big chains have to start using the surroundings of the Grand Egyptian Museum to have there more rooms in order also to be able to cater such a conference hall that is at the Grand Egyptian Museum. So it's not anymore only culture, but it's culture, business, leisure. It's the way you market it. It's the way you are able to provide the high-end service that and the pricing, the competitive pricing that will get the people to you. I just have a little comment on hop on, hop off. The problem in Egypt is that unlike other cities in Europe, for instance, the destinations are quite far away from each other. And our summer, like this summer, for instance, is quite long. So if you're sitting at the top without a ceiling for 45 minutes to reach your next destination, this will not be very successful. So maybe we need something like this, but it has to be adapted to Egypt, and then it will be upon a very clever operator to make it work.